Welcome to the Living in Santa Barbara podcast. I'm your host, Kathy Henry, and today I'm so happy to welcome Wade Cowper, a fourth-generation Santa Barbarian. Wade and his wife, Paula, created the Waula Festival, a major music event that began as their unique wedding celebration to raise funds for Sarah House. Wade has also managed successful political campaigns in Santa Barbara County and beyond, and is a managing partner of Hidden Gems Public Relations, a firm that specializes in providing strategic advice and support to numerous nonprofit organizations. We just missed the second annual Waula Festival, but we get to explore the behind the scenes, the challenges, and the triumphs that drive Wade's dedication to supporting Sarah House. And if you're curious about what it's like to create a meaningful event like this one, or looking for inspiration, this episode is for you. Let's dive into the heart of Santa Barbara's community spirit with Wade Cowper. It's not easy to start a music festival.
No, it's not. And the way we came about it is actually a great story. We decided a long time ago, I think everybody who kind of gets in their 30s, they go through this cycle of having friends who are all getting married, and they all seem to get married kind of in a clump. So we started going to these weddings of some people we went to high school with, or people we knew in law school. You know, some of these people had these great big houses. They drove a nice car, and I'd show up at these things and I go, why am I buying these people a toaster? What do these people really need from us, to be honest with you?
Well, it's also, I think, tradition.
Well, of course. I thought to myself, there's got to be a better way. If everybody's going to give us stuff, there's got to be a better way we can reuse these resources.
Oh, yeah.
So the first thing that we thought about was we want to have like the best party we could have. So rather than have a wedding, we threw a benefit concert. And that was the first Waula. And Waula is a combination of Wade and Paula. And also has the added advantage of kind of sounding like something
That's Hawaiian.
Yeah, it sounds like some music festival
That's
would
what
be
I
called.
thought. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was like, this worked out. So we did it the first year, and rather than accept sort of wedding gifts or whatever, we had people donate money to Sarah House. And you know, when we were setting out, I said, hey, if we do this, the goal from the very beginning was to get the ball rolling on what would become an annual event for Sarah House.
That was a big commitment.
Turned out to be way bigger commitment than I thought it would be.
I mean, for how long? It's like, how long is this Waula Festival? Maybe it'll go past your legacy.
If I'm dead and somebody else is doing Waula, that would be awesome. That would be great. But yeah, and part of it was inspired by the fact that I do a lot of work locally, and I wind up at a lot of nonprofit events, fundraisers in town, and a lot of them are fairly similar. It's either a silent auction, or there's a gala, usually with a silent auction, and I enjoy those.
They're taking notes. They're pretty simple, but it's so funny.
What I don't want to do.
Maybe.
Well, that actually is essentially what it was, is that I wanted to do something that was different from what else was going on in town, but that also attracted a different crowd, because you find as you go to, I don't know how many like nonprofit events you've been going to, but it's kind of a part of like the local social scene in some sense. And so I wanted to give an opportunity for people to come to a nonprofit fundraiser, but was probably a little bit lower price point than some of those galas and whatnot, but also was for essentially like different types of folks, maybe a little bit younger, maybe who weren't interested in getting dressed up and going to a gala. Because I can tell you from personal experience, if there's one thing I know about Santa Barbara, it's people hate getting dressed up, much to my chagrin, sometimes certainly to my wife's chagrin. And so that was kind of the genesis of it. And we just built it out from there. And yeah, so sort of had that in mind. And I was on the board of Sarah House. And so went to Sarah House, and Kate, who was the new incoming executive director, I said, hey, I'm going to throw this big idea at you.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to do this benefit concert. But
you're so crazy. Like, what?
I try. But you don't have to do anything.
Uh-huh.
I said, I will get it funded. I will plan it.
Mm-hmm.
I will populate it. You don't worry about it. Because in some sense, it was COVID when we started planning this. And I really didn't think it was fair for an incoming executive director to be like, okay, now I'm trying to get my feet wet, but now let me completely immerse myself in this. And so we brought it to her, and Kate and everyone at the board was so cool, so helpful.
Mm-hmm.
Loved the idea.
Good. Yes.
And yeah.
Well, sometimes it's hard, even though it's a good idea, they may not come on board.
We did. So funny story. We did actually have a little pushback. Some folks who are close to the organization who didn't feel like it was the right fit or something. And
well, yeah, they're just trying to see the correlation between Sarah House and a music festival. They're like, what?
I get it. I do get it. But it's also, on some level, it's kind of a bummer topic, right?
Yes.
And I can probably explain to everybody sort of a little bit more about
Mm-hmm.
Sarah House.
And also about hospice.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a hospice facility with a unique history in that in the 1980s, during the AIDS epidemic, there were a lot of mostly gay men,
Mm-hmm.
but there were a lot of people who could not get placed in hospice for fear of the disease.
Okay.
And so the genesis of Sarah House was giving a place for people to die with dignity
Mm-hmm.
that were literally being turned away from other facilities in a period of time that I can really only imagine
Mm-hmm.
how frightening it was for people, particularly in the gay community.
Mm-hmm.
And I just can't imagine how gut-wrenching it must have been for a lot of them.
Yeah.
And so for this house was created in order to give them a place to go and to die with dignity and with care and love. And obviously over time, we've done a great job at managing HIV AIDS. And so it's not as persistent. Obviously, medical science has caught up. We know so much more about it. And so it's not as specified a need. We still serve Sarah House still serves people living with or dying from HIV and AIDS, but the types of folks we serve now has expanded to everyone from we've had homeless veterans, folks who have mental health issues.
Is it only for patients that have HIV and AIDS?
No. So we've expanded now to beyond just HIV AIDS to all kinds of folks, really.
People in need.
People in need, but we also have people who pay.
Okay.
And it's one of the amazing things about the house that it to me is like very Santa Barbara,
Mm-hmm.
is that it kind of runs the gamut of all types of folks who live in this community. We've had people from Montecito pass away at Sarah House, but we've also, again, we've had like homeless veterans.
Why did they choose Sarah House?
Oh, boy, I think it's very different for different people.
Yeah. Well, could you describe what Sarah House is like?
Sarah House is a social model hospice.
Uh-huh.
And so it's not a medical facility. We have folks come in to administer some of the medical things, but
Mm-hmm.
it's a facility that is focused on the care of the people who are at the house. And,
mental, emotional care?
Very much
Not
so.
physical care, not medical care, but physical care.
Physical care.
Nutritional care.
But mostly the one word I would use is comfort.
Mm-hmm. What about spiritual care?
We have quite a bit of that as well.
Mm-hmm.
And we have excellent people who come through the facility. We work with all kinds of people around town. And we've had everything from like choral groups who come through to sing, people come in and play guitar,
Mm-hmm.
all sorts of music. And Paloma, who's the house manager, who is an earth angel. She is an incredible, incredible human being.
Mm-hmm.
she and the other staff members there go way out of their way to get folks what they want at the end of their lives. And a lot of times those things are very small and simple. Sometimes,
such as,
for a lot of people, and particularly in a lot of cultures, like food is a very important part of the way you connect with family and friends. And so making sure that people have an opportunity to eat and eat what food they want with their loved ones toward the end. And, sometimes it's just as simple as getting a basketball game so you can watch a basketball game with your son. And those things give incredible levels of closure for people, but also comfort. And I was either lucky or unlucky, as I always say, depending on how you look at it. My grandfather and my mom passed away within about 6 or 8 months of each other. They were both at another local hospice facility. And I saw the way they were treated, and it was unbelievable, because for me, the person who's watching these people go,
yes,
all you want to do is give them that comfort, to make them feel okay. But I don't know how to do that. No matter how hard I try, no matter how much care or love I put into it, I've never experienced it. I don't know. And so rather than having that burden be on you, the people there who do this and are unbelievable at it, it was exceptional to watch. My mom had a really hard time at the end. They were so patient with her. And it was beautiful to watch. And had a friend I was playing basketball with at the gym who I just met. We had a long conversation, and his dad had died of cancer. Chris Kane, he's on the board of Sarah House as well.
Wait, were they already in Sarah House, and that's how you learned about Sarah House?
No,
or you found Sarah House for them?
Chris and I were just talking at the gym.
Okay.
And he said, hey, come down to Sarah House and check it out. You've had this hospice experience, but you've never been to Sarah House. Let me show it to you.
Okay. Where your mom, she was at a different facility?
She was at Serenity House here in Santa Barbara. And they did an unbelievable job. Incredible. But I would say it's a different facility. Again, they do a great job. They're incredible, but I sort of saw what it cost. And then I went down to Sarah House, and they were providing, a similar level of comfort for people, but for most of the people who were there at no cost. And so my only question to them was, how can I help?
Yeah.
What can I do to help you out, to ensure that this organization has longevity and stability? And so I joined the board, and I've been helping out ever since.
Well, how are they getting their funding?
A lot of it is grant funding. Yeah. So most of it's grant funding. We had an annual fundraiser before that was, we made some money. It was pretty
low budget.
No, they were actually really fun fundraisers, well executed, great team, people working on it. Fewer than we're at Waula for sure. I'd say 100, 150 people, which for a nonprofit our size, it's 8 beds. It's a relatively small budget. There's a good turnout, but I knew that I wanted to expand the exposure of the organization and sort of expand the folks who knew about it.
How long were you at Sarah House before you came up with that idea? Was it the next week?
Probably pretty quickly. I think it was kind of an idea that I had before from being around town, and then just wanted to find the right cause that connected with me to implement it. We have a sort of burgeoning tech community here in Santa Barbara, and I had seen a really marked disconnect between a lot of people who are closer to my age working I'm 37. And I'm like thinking about it. I'm like, is that how old I am? But
so young.
I'm hanging in there. But like a disconnect between a lot of people who are closer to my age who working in the tech community may have had some money to give back to the community, but a lack of connection with a lot of the more traditional nonprofit fundraising here in Santa Barbara. Yeah. And growing up here, like my grandparents, they would be at a gala or a fundraiser or whatever. I mean, they were super, super, super invested in the local, music community, the Music Academy of the West. My grandfather was one of the founders of what's now Camerata Pacifica. It was then Bach Camerata with Adrian Spence. And so they were very philanthropically minded, but mostly around music and the arts. And they were out and about like at these galas and fundraisers all the time with their friends. And it was a big part of their social scene. But
so it sounds like you were trained pretty well. You followed in their footsteps, but in your way now, you're kind of adjusting to the times.
I would say I'm a pretty social person. And I get that. I mean, I get that not only from my grandparents, but from my mom, who was also a pretty social person, always had fun dinner parties and was always having a good time. So that's kind of, I came to it and I just saw an opportunity and just wanted to, like I said, find some of the newer people in town, some of the, I guess, kind of like tech people who weren't really necessarily exposed to some of the more traditional fundraising and find an event that would bring them in and try and get them a little more involved.
So how many people at the wedding were wedding guests and how many were...
Oh, that's a great question.
How many people were at the festival, the first one?
Year one, we had about 350 people. I would say probably 150 to 200 of those people were people we knew. My wife is Vietnamese and from Orange County.
By the way, I was so confused that she had a twin sister.
You're not the only one.
I did not know.
A lot of people go up to my wife who has a twin sister and it's Paula or Fran. And so poor Fran, whenever she's up here, is always going, I'm not Paula. I'm not Paula. I'm not Paula. So
that's you should have a t-shirt made. I'm not Paula.
We joked about that last time. We actually joked about that. Like get her a name tag that says I am not Paula.
Yes.
Yeah. But so big, lot of Vietnamese family in Orange County who came up, and then I had family from kind of around the country come in, and just a lot of friends. I grew up here, so I had a bunch of like high school friends and stuff who came. So I'd say we had probably 150, and there was a couple hundred people who showed up. So yeah.
So how many did you have this last time?
So year one was 350, and we had Spencer the gardener, who's like, as I always say, he's going to play every single Waula Fest we've had. I've known Spencer forever. I love Spencer. But yeah, so Spencer's bass player, Gary, I've known him like my whole life and always loved him. But as I got older, Spencer and I became friends through, I used to work at the farmer's market with my best friend. And so he'd always come and talk basketball, and we just became friends over the years. And
yeah, he says he loves basketball.
He does indeed. And as do I, and as does my best friend, Warren. And so we, the three of us would talk a lot of basketball over the years. So we became friends. And so I've told him, as long as there's a wall, Spencer's going to be there if he wants to be. So we had Spencer, Crush Club, which is a band from New York, and then Greyhounds, which is a band from Austin, kind of a blues rock band. And that was about 350 people. And then this last year two, we had Young Santa, which is Oren, my best friend, who I worked at the farmer's market with. Queen Tide, which is a local band, super awesome.
How'd you find these guys?
So a lot of like listening to YouTube videos and stuff, and people send me stuff now. Okay, check this out, check this out, check this out. So yeah, somebody sent it to me. Actually, one of the guys who helps us out with the festival sent it to me, and I just immediately, I heard their song Wescalita, and I was like, oh, I love this. These guys are great.
I did not hear that song. Wescalita?
No. It's a fun one. Go check it out on YouTube.
That's
Wescalita.
Funny. Okay.
It's a good.
Which band?
That's Queentide.
Okay.
Queentide, and they're a local band too. And then I had Spencer the Gardener, and then after that we brought in English Beat, who was my. Essentially, I wanted English Beat to play year one, and couldn't work it out. They were out doing some festivals and whatnot, and it just didn't happen. And so I made it like my mission in life to book them and to make it happen. And so I'll give you a kind of an interesting story. So we'd booked this show for last year, and I got a couple guys who I worked with on both of these. Mike Lazaro from Carp, he does the Alhambra Theater. He is like,
he does all what?
The Alhambra Theater in Carpinteria.
Okay.
It's a small
I
theater
see that one.
they restored in Carp.
Yeah, I saw a concert there. The sound is amazing. He did a good job. It was amazing.
He is like a quintessential, I was going to say Santa Barbarian. He'd probably want me to say Carpinterian. But like quintessential Carpinterian guy is awesome.
Really?
And then Logan Goldberg, who does some local kind of festival things. I was going to shoot me, I can't remember the name of it, but he does a Halloween festival over at Fields of Funk. It's over at Ealing's Park, Fields of Funk.
Oh, that, yeah. What does he do there? He does a sound there?
No, that's his like festival.
That's his festival?
Yeah.
That's a good one.
One of the guys who puts that on.
Yes.
So, and Logan's been awesome. Mike Lazaro has been awesome. So anyway, they helped me out. So we went way down this path, and we actually had this show booked for September 9th of last year. And we're about 100 days out. And I think I had sold 8 tickets. And so I was having a meltdown. I called the board of Sarah House and I said, I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
But like this is just not coming together.
Yes.
This is my idea.
Yeah.
I'd like to just.
Wait, this is the first one?
No, this is last year.
Oh.
Yeah. This is the first time I'm telling this story.
Okay. You mean the one we just had?
The one we just had.
Okay, but that was supposed to be in September.
Originally scheduled for September 9th.
Okay.
And so we were about 100 days out. So it's August.
Well, you had a lot of people.
It was August or so. I'd sold 8 tickets. And so I went to the board. I said, this is what I want to do. I called up Logan. I said, hey man, is there any way that you think we could just reschedule this? And I'll pay everybody's deposits. We'll outlay the money. I know I can get this done. It's just for whatever reason, it's not coming together right now. And he was the first one to just go, whatever you think, like, we'll work it out. It's cool. I talked to Mike, I talked to Laz. He said, whatever you want, we're going to work it out. I said, okay. Went to the board. They said, whatever you think.
Well, why do you think that was? Was it promotion or everybody was going back to school,
as essentially the promoter and person solely responsible.
Which I'm going to ask you how you promote these things. I don't know how you.
I'm happy to talk about it, but I don't know. But it really freaked me out. It was keeping me up at night. I was so concerned about failure. I hate to lose. I'm super, super competitive. And it was really hard for me to sort of accept defeat and postpone. But on May 25th, when the show finally happened, we completely sold out every single ticket. The place was packed. Everybody was having fun. We wound up raising $20,000.
Wow.
And it worked out. And it's funny. It's like, the little things in life that teach you lessons, but definitely was a learning experience for someone who is not good at accepting defeat and who's super competitive. To some, a loss today is not necessarily a loss forever. So we wound up crushing it in the end and worked out.
It was fun. Everybody had a great time. So how do you promote? How do you get how many people were at the second one?
So the last time was 600.
Okay. So it's growing.
Oh, it's growing significantly. Yeah. And we had physically the 600 people in there, I would say. When English Beat was on, it was a full house. Whereas at the first one, I'd say at the peak, at one time, the most people we probably had in there was about 250, maybe 300 people total. And, oh, sorry, I didn't answer your question. So promoting is, I have so much respect now for concert promoters.
Mm-hmm.
It's a wild business. I can't believe anyone does it.
Mm-hmm.
It is incredibly nerve-wracking.
Well, at least you knew you had 150 guests to the first one. So that's a good time to start.
So it was Memorial Day weekend, and a lot of locals do sometimes lose sight of the fact that on Memorial Day week, all right, I'll ask you, how much do you think the Motel 6 was on Memorial Day weekend? Motel
$250.
More.
300?
More.
400?
About $400.
For a one night?
Plus taxes and fees.
Oh my God.
So now imagine you're...
But that was during post-COVID. It was crazy.
No, this was like 3 weeks ago. This is
it was?
May 25th.
Wow.
That's
ridiculous.
And so, so I had people coming up from Orange County, and they were looking at this going, I'm sorry, what now? It's going to cost me what to come up here?
Wow.
So my sister-in-law, Fran, my brother-in-law, Nick, sister-in-law, Jessica, her partner, Sam, we had like a bunch of people coming up and made sacrifice to come, and they were awesome, but also some of my friends who just drove up and drove back to LA. But it was crazy, crazy expensive. So actually, even though, we had a nice list from the time before, it was not as many probably like people who lived here. So we were kind of building the list from scratch. I probably honestly had 150 maybe sort of repeat customers from the first year. But a lot of it is just shoe leather, just going out. I mean, I would staple posters all around the funk zone, and then when they get ripped down, I'd go back to next week and staple up posters all over the funk zone.
That's how you were doing it?
That's some of it.
Emails?
A bunch of email blasts, some paid social, not a ton, but a lot of also me relentlessly berating my friends and Paula's friends to buy tickets.
Oh God.
We do know a lot of people.
That's funny.
And then I know a lot of sort of like local people who have relatively decent Instagram followings who are really, really cool about posting the event for me, which I really appreciate. And then the Santa Barbara Independent was, they were generous enough to become a sponsor of the event and helped me out incredibly on the promotion. I mean, I genuinely, thanks to Brandy, to Nick, to everybody at the Independent, but mostly Marianne, who's the owner and publisher of the Independent. But then I've had the same.
When did they come on?
Relatively early. I was
after September.
Yeah, I do a lot of. I mean, I'm in PR, so I do a lot of advertising, so they're familiar with me.
Oh, okay.
But
after September, after the initial date, were things because the promotion would have been different back then.
Yeah, I think I probably reached out after we decided to postpone it. But I reached out early, and I started advertising really early. So I was advertising in 2023 for a show that was in 2024, and people told me, "Oh, you're doing this too early. It's unnecessary." I was like, I don't know. I'm going to keep getting the word out as much as I can. And then I want to thank Camille, who has been my ad rep at the Independent for so long. And she was great in helping us out. But yeah, it was a combination of advertising and just shoe leather. I mean, I did the one lesson I could impart to people. I mean, I work with a lot of people who wind up asking for money, and a lot of times they hate asking for money. And a lot of it is just tell them and then tell them again, or ask them again, ask them again. Because I mean, people aren't going to be annoyed that you're inviting them to a benefit concert.
Yeah.
They just haven't bought tickets yet. They're doing this, they're doing that. For some friends, it's like, I want to spend the money, but it's the end of the month or whatever. I got a budget. But at the end of the day, they all came. It was so cool.
Yeah, and they had longer to stay up.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And it was amazing seeing the the city come out like that, because one of my goals in doing it, I mean, I grew up here. I'm a local kid. So one of my goals in doing this was to, to have an event that felt like Santa Barbara. Everyone felt.
It definitely felt like Santa Barbara.
Yeah. That's like, to me, this is the biggest compliment is somebody saying this is like a super Santa Barbara event.
It totally was.
It's nothing makes me happier.
That's so funny.
And I had like multiple generations of Santa Barbara that were there, people who I knew, like I knew their parents, and the kids, were like, they're my friends, but I also know their parents. And so there was a lot of that, which was fun. And
did everybody say they're coming back next year? So
it's wild. Did
they say, I'm coming back next year?
I think 3 different people have. I also emceed the event. So I've had.
You did a great job, by the way.
Thank you. I appreciate it. So I had 3 different people come up to me just like randomly at something else and say, hey, did you MC the people constantly
don't even know who they are.
It, the Waula Festival. Were you the MC of the Sarah House or the English Beat concert? I said, yes. They said, I had so much fun. I can't wait for next year. I can't wait to see what you do. So that has been incredibly, incredibly gratifying to when you do something. So the first year, because I had a vision again of like doing something that's for everybody in Santa Barbara. That was my goal year 1. And I had a friend and she came and she was there for about 20 minutes. She walks up to me and she said, I was really expecting this to be just a bunch of old white people, but this is like everybody, Wade. You got everybody here. And I said, well, I tried to get everybody here. It was, so it's fun for me to show up and see like everybody just there, like from all types of communities, from like who I see at the farmer's market, who I see in, like the nonprofit world,
that you didn't know were coming. You didn't personally invite them.
No. And people I did not know who showed up and were like, hey, that's the best is when somebody shows up who knows me. Like, I didn't know you're doing this. This is so cool. It's also the other thing too is I'm like 4th generation of Santa Barbara.
So you're going to know a lot of people here.
Like there's people who remember me. Well, they wouldn't recognize me because the last time they saw me, I mean, there's some of my grandparents' friends who are still around. I mean, my grandmother's still here and doing stuff. So, but like there's plenty of my grandparents' friends who are around. There's a bunch of my mom's friends who are still around who definitely remember me. So
you have a multi-generational, I guess, what do you call that? Network.
Yeah. So I do. I kind of do. But I think everybody who's been here or who's at a minimum, like if your parents were here, you're going to have that multi-generational connection to the community. And it's mostly about like being open to bugging those people and letting them know what you're trying to do.
Let's go back to your work. What do? You do PR.
So I have a boutique public relations firm working with nonprofits and doing a lot of communications, outreach, kind of grassroots stuff. And I rebranded. Had one name for a long time, then rebranded last May, I guess. So we're 1 year plus in. And
what's it called?
Hidden Gems Public Relations.
And how did you get that name?
The head of the Vintners Association suggested that name, and I am not a person who tries to reinvent the wheel. I went, you know what? That's a great name. And she said, hey, there's a lot of hidden gems out there and you're going to let them know. And I said, I love that. So I stole it. So thanks, Allison.
Does she know?
I don't know if she remembers that, but she I mean, no one's ever asked me. So.
And you haven't told her?
I probably did. I don't know.
That's funny.
Yeah. I'll send her this podcast.
Yeah.
She can
just listen to it about minute 15.
Yeah, exactly.
Regarding PR,
Yeah.
It wasn't just nonprofits. I mean, you were involved with politics as well.
Yeah, I've done a lot of work politically. I've done a lot of work here locally. Lived in Austin for a long time, Sacramento. Went to law school, and when I moved back through just randomness, I bumped into Kristen Snedden at a coffee shop, and she was running for
in Santa Barbara.
Yeah, yep.
Okay.
I bumped into her at the Pete's on Upper State.
Okay.
And bumped into her, and at the time I wasn't doing much. I was kind of bouncing around. I was still doing some comms consulting for a nonprofit in Sacramento, but
this is what, a year or two out of college? Out of law school?
No. This is, a year or so out of law school.
Okay.
I had a couple clients in Sacramento still, but I was sort of trying to get back to.
You want to come back to Santa
Barbara. And I bumped into her at a coffee shop, and it's like a wonderful political meet cute. I was probably loudly, as I usually do, complaining about something to the person who I was talking to, was like a prospective client for some PR stuff. And Kristen sort of leans over and says, well, I want to know your thoughts on the city. And I said, no, you don't.
Oh, no.
And she said, yeah, I do. I'm running for city council, and I'm dying to know what you think about the city. And I said, oh, okay, that's weird. And we wound up sort of chatting for a while. And I
you must have sounded at least somewhat intelligent for her to want to know. You could have been saying anything, but something you said intrigued her.
I always try to sound intelligent. I'm not. I try to sound that way, though.
But not everybody leans in like that and say, okay, I want to hear what you have to say.
Well, if they're running for city council, hopefully they do.
Yeah. Depends sometimes.
But yeah, we just chatted for a while about just life and whatnot. And I walked away from me. I emailed her, and I was like, I've been doing political work for a long time. I've been in communications, and I'm
she's probably saying, I can tell.
No, not really. I didn't mention that or say that. The only context I gave is that I grew up here, and like, these are my thoughts on the city. And, but I said, hey, I kind of got some free time. There's something you need, just let me know. I'd be happy to help. You seem cool.
Yes.
And so
what were your thoughts on the city back then? Do you remember? Is it okay to share?
I don't
Give me one.
I don't remember what it was, honestly. But I just remember, like, personally liking her a lot. So anyway, a couple of weeks later, she emails me back. I was like, yeah, I told Paula, I said, it's so weird. I emailed this lady and said, hey, I'll do whatever you need. And I never got back to me. And then 2 weeks, I just longed, whatever you can help with. Okay, cool. And helped her out. She and I knocked on, I think she and I combined knocked on 3,500 doors.
Okay.
And she won. And I had done campaign work before. And so I was like, all right, this is cool. I could maybe, do some more campaign work around town or whatever. But it turned out that Kristen's mom had worked with my mom and knew my mom, and that Kristen remembered me from when I was a kid.
No way.
Yeah, we were just.
What? When did she figure this out?
Oh, this is
before you started?
No, this is like a month in. I showed up one day.
Oh, you guys.
We were knocking on doors, and we were together like every day. And she said, "You're Michael Stewart's son?"
No.
And I said, "Yeah." Do you know my mom? And she said, "Yeah." I remember you when you were a kid, like a little kid running around the law firm.
That's so funny.
I went, oh my God.
That is so funny.
Yeah.
That's great.
So anyway, yeah, it's the smallest world. And by the way, Kristen's mom is awesome. I love her. Another just super cool Santa Barbarian. But so it's kind of like this family connection and got me kind of back into political work. And I've been helping out here and there ever since. Did some work for.
So just somebody calls you and say, "Hey, can you help me out?"
Yeah, I'm pretty selective and depends on who they are and what it is that they're running for. But
well, okay, let's go back to the festival.
Cool.
So because it was such a success in year 2, are you expecting or hoping to sell more tickets next year and make it bigger?
I'm really, really excited for next year. I got a huddle with the team and I've got already a headliner in mind, already mentally hard at work on what we're doing next year. And as always, I see a few things we got to fix that no one who was there would have noticed, but you know, not just me, but all of us who are me, Laz, Logan, Paula, there's all going to be things that we recognize that were to us like a disaster.
You notice it. You're probably like, oh man.
Yeah. That to anyone else, they never would have noticed, you know, to us.
It kind of bothers you a little bit.
Oh, so
like,
much.
I can't focus.
That's
me. I'm like, I can't focus anymore.
Look, if you're doing big events, you know, let's say 500 plus people, you're doing a big event, there's always going to be something that doesn't go right. And it's about, you know, sort of bug squishing and finding solutions to problems quickly. And I appreciate that I'm surrounded by a bunch of people who are willing to do that, including myself. I pivot very quickly. I learn very quickly and I make adjustments and I come back better every time. And so right now it's about finding those few holes that we have that need to get filled. And there are definitely a few of those, but then it's just about booking the bands, finding a date and just getting the ball rolling. Cause I'm kind of itching. It's not just me. I know.
Well, it sounds like such a fun thing to do because you're planning a party where everybody's joyous.
Totally. And the cool thing for me is I spend a year of my life bringing the money together and doing a lot of the planning and kind of doing some of the sort of vision for it and everything.
Are you good at delegating?
No. Well, okay. I'm both excellent at delegating and terrible at delegating. I am a person who I give people a lot of trust. And the people I trust like with my life. I had the same young woman. She worked with me on 5 campaigns in a row. Her name's Tiffany Garcia. She now works for a big PR firm in DC. She's absolutely killing it. So proud of her. But I mean, she's like volunteered on a campaign. She was like in high school. She's like 16 or 17 years old. And I just dumped a bunch of stuff on her. I was like, you seem capable. Here's a bunch of stuff. And she got it done. I mean, not the world's most complicated stuff, but she got it done. And then I just kind of throw more stuff at her. And then, you know, towards the end when she was in college, I basically was like, she'd been on a bunch of campaigns with me. I'd go, hey, write this press release. And towards the end,
she was writing press releases?
Oh, yeah. Maybe I would look at it for 3 seconds. Yep, good. I mean, now she writes press releases for, you know, massive national associations and stuff. So she's way beyond what we were doing.
Well, that's amazing.
Locally. But
maybe that's also due to your guidance.
I know. I think she's just smart and capable, and I gave her a
Maybe
chance.
you had something to do with it. Yeah. The stars aligned. You guys both benefit.
Maybe, but I think mostly it's about giving people a chance to succeed. And so in that respect, I'm good at delegating, but I've also had people where it didn't work. I got frustrated and then very undelegated. So,
Yeah.
sometimes I'm good at delegating, sometimes I'm not. It depends.
Well, all this experience, it's helped you, obviously, from the campaign trail to doing the event, the festival. Do you think that all your experience being in PR and being on the campaign trail has helped you figure out the logistics of a big event like this?
Absolutely. And, one of the things I learned I was doing PR and communications and grassroots outreach and stuff for some big state nonprofits. And, I'd go around the state and I'd organize events, get people together, do speaking things, happy hours, conferences, all kinds of stuff. And so a lot of that experience, and then, on political campaigns, you're organizing some events and whatnot too. But all of it sort of lent itself to doing this. But I think the thing I learned mostly is a lot of it's just willingness to ask and just willingness to say, hey, will you be willing to sponsor this event? Hey, will you give, $500, $1,000, $5,000, whatever. And just putting yourself out there and asking. Because my philosophy is every favor I ask from someone else is always a favor for someone else. I don't ask people for a favor for me. Drive me to the airport or whatever. I mean, but if I'm asking people for, to give of themselves, I'm doing it on behalf of a cause other than myself. And so I think if you're asking for something for a cause other than yourself, it's not a favor. It's not an imposition to that person. And the other thing that I've found is people a lot of times are really happy that you ask them. A lot of people, particularly in Santa Barbara, have the capacity to give, the interest in giving. They care about this community. They love this community. I called one of our best sponsors, was Bliss Farms down in Carpinteria, a gentleman I've known for a long time. And he said, thank you for bringing this to my attention. I didn't know about this organization. And you would be so surprised the number of people who you talk to about the things that you're passionate about, that you care about, who don't know about it, who are not, they're not offended that you're asking them for money for a hospice
but
house.
You're also educating them.
But you're letting them know about it and giving them the opportunity to decide whether or not they want to help you out. And so, the real lesson that I learned is just never be afraid to tell someone about a cause or something that you really care passionately about and that is important to you. Because as my mom used to say, what's the worst they're going to say? No. Who cares? That's where you are now.
Yeah. And that's why I have you on the podcast. So we can tell everybody about Sarah House and the Waula Festival that's going to be coming up maybe around Memorial Day next. I wish that I had dates. And I know it's driving some of the Waula Fest team a little nuts that we don't have dates. I am basing it around getting an awesome lineup. Okay. And so 3 bands?
We're going 4 bands next year. I think. All this is written in sand. But we're doing 4 bands next year, and it will be on Saturday, but we don't know exactly when. In the same venue, or do you think you might? We're definitely going back. We're in the Presidio parking lot, but don't let that fool you. We transform it into this incredible concert venue. We got awesome lights going around. It is so beautiful. It's so much fun. You got to peek at the mountains too. Yep. Yeah. It's cool when the sun's going down. Yeah, it was really pretty. Oh, it's beautiful. And next year I got some tricks up my sleeve with hopefully some cool visual artists who can come help us out. I'm really excited, but I am going basically lineup first. I want to give Santa Barbara an awesome lineup full of great music, a combo of touring bands and local bands, and just have the best party. And I figure if you throw a great party, no matter what day it is, people will show up. So I'm I'm going line up first, and we will have a date out there soon.
That sounds fun. Well, I got to ask you a question.
Okay.
I was thinking the whole time, do you rest? Like, do you ever just chill out?
No. In some ways, yes. In some ways, no. It depends on who you ask this question. My partner and I do travel a lot. We try to get away for the weekend a lot and kind of reset our batteries, but like resetting our batteries still seems like a lot of effort to other folks. We both have a lot of energy, love to move, love to do stuff. I mean, none of this would be possible without Paula. I mean, she's been amazing and has had some incredible ideas about the festival, bringing in vendors and just filling in holes. I mean, she notices things I don't.
Yes.
And it's also incredible to have someone who's been as supportive as she has, because
it's a big undertaking.
Yeah, because I
and it's a commitment now.
And the thing that's really unfair to her is that I get stressed out about it. I take things like really seriously in some ways. In other ways, I do everything with a laugh and a smile. But I want to succeed, and I care very deeply. And so I will at various times get really, really stressed out because I want it to be successful. I want to sell.
It seems like you're very easygoing and that you're able to handle all the stuff. I was wondering if you ever got overwhelmed.
I definitely get overwhelmed. I have moments where I will get like down on myself and sometimes down on, other folks, but I have an incredible ability to bounce back. And I mean, even if I'm down for like 5 minutes, I'll be fine.
Well, you're only human. You have to have some emotion.
I'm full of emotion. I try to be as full of like humor as possible. A lot of it's kind of cynical humor, which people often mistake for, I got a lot of kind of gallows humor, which people often mistake for negativity. It's not, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing if I was actually negative. But so, and Paula puts up with a lot of like me at 10 at night going, no, we're not going to sell. I gotta work hard. And anyway, an incredible partner and everything. She's awesome.
Yeah. Maybe we'll redo this right before the festival.
Oh, we will. People, I can't wait to come back. Can't wait to come back with Paula. She was otherwise occupied today, but I'm very, very excited for next year. And one thing I could tell you is if you were there this year, it's only going to be better next year. Yeah. Every year
it was really fun. It was really fun.
Good.
So how do we find out more about Waula Fest and Sarah House and also Hidden Gems, your PR firm? Do I want to get in touch with you? So
I would prefer to log roll for Sarah House first and foremost. So our website is sarahhousesb.com. And there's all kinds of photos of the house, information about our background, our history, how we got here. And then there's...
And how do you spell Sarah?
SarahHousesb.com. I cannot speak highly enough about the work that Kate and Paloma do, and Doug, who's a board president, Linda Lorenzen, who's been super involved forever. I know I'm leaving other board members out. I apologize. I'm on the spot here, but everybody cares deeply and works really hard, and it's an incredible organization. So if you are thinking about something to give to, something where your money goes a long way, because we really don't have a very big budget, but we have things like the roof needs to get fixed. The air conditioner needs to get fixed. We need new TVs in rooms. We need those kind of things. If you donate $500, $1,000, even $20, it goes a long way. And so, sarahhousesb.com. There's a cool little video, kind of gives some history of the house and the work we do. And then
how many residents?
There's 8 rooms in the house, and they get an incredible level of care, super well staffed. There's always people there, and there's volunteers that come and do things like cook dinner for people in the house at various times. Like Tutti Frutti Farms has donated
So is it all
fresh
organic
vegetables
food?
and organic tomatoes and stuff. And they'll make like tomato soup out of Tutti Frutti heirlooms. And
Oh, that's so nice.
it's, I mean, it's such a cool place, and
Mhm.
it's just got a great spirit. And the people who work there, as I said earlier, are earth angels. They're unbelievable people.
Is there a wait list? I mean, with only 8 rooms?
So there's that's a complex question that very much depends on the time of year. So there's times when we're completely full and there are folks who are waiting. There are other times when we're not completely full, and it's I guess it's a good day in the world when we're not full and don't have a wait list, but it's also great when somebody can come in there and have the incredible hospice experience and get a chance to see their loved ones pass on with care and kindness. So
yeah, it's wonderful. Do you want to plug your PR firm in Waula Fest?
Waula Fest is www.waulafest.com, waulafest.com. And I'm actually,
It's like Paula with a W.
yes, Wade and Paula. As I like to tell people, I'm the W of Waula Fest.
Wait, so when you walk up as a couple, they go, "Here comes the Wallas"?
Paula has a robe that says Waula on it. First year we had t-shirts. The t-shirts are like kind of infamous. We sold out of the t-shirts. They're awesome t-shirts. If you see one around, it's JFK on the beach.
Okay.
I just thought it was like a fun design, and they were a big hit. If people were there and they want posters, I still have posters.
Okay.
You can come grab them. And then I have a few Young Santa shirts, which say Young Santa knows where you live. And on the back, it says Waula Music Festival 2024.
Oh, that's cute. Yeah.
With a little info on the like show specific. Those are available. And then, so, and my website is hiddengemspr.com. If you need any public relations services.
What size a nonprofit?
I've worked for, like I said, statewide nonprofits, everything down to, and I worked with, obviously, I mean, I'm on the board of Sarah House, but worked with super, super small nonprofits that have tiny budgets. Okay. So really any size, and, happy to see how I can help the community.
Great. Thank you so much.
Hey, thank you so much thank you for doing this podcast. I mean, I love there's folks who care about this town. This is the most amazing place in the world. I'm so proud to call this my hometown. And I just want to say thanks for helping shine a spotlight on all the good stuff we're doing here.
Well, there's a lot of great stuff.
There is.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you for joining us on this insightful episode. The story of dedication and community involvement truly embodies the spirit of Santa Barbara. For more information about Sarah House, the Waula Festival, or Hidden Gems, you can visit their websites, sarahhousesb.com, Sarah spelled S-A-R-A-H, waulafest.com, or hiddengemspr.com. And stay tuned for more inspiring stories on living in Santa Barbara. Until next time, keep celebrating those amazing people and events, and don't forget to follow, like, and share this podcast with your friends and colleagues.